Hi, Mithos here, and welcome to Time Chunk, where I restrict my access to a RuneScape game chunk for 8 hours. If I pass all of its objectives within this time, I unlock the chunk permanently. If I fail, I lose access to it. No time to waste, the clock is running, let's go. Welcome back. Last episode we made great progress towards smithing and obtained a colossal blade. We also discovered that there is an agility grind in the desert which we will need to address at some point. This is how the chunk map currently looks like. There are quite a number of chunks locked at the moment, 6 to be precise. Uzur Oasis, which we failed in the past and is now chunk 3, has become rollable again. That is also the worst chunk roll, since it triggers a level 90 mining grind and no better way to train mining than I currently have. The other mining chunks, 6, 8 and 11, at least have something better to offer. Anyway, the chunks I want to roll are Nada, chunk 5, and Lumbridge, chunk 12. Let's see what we get. And the next chunk is... Narda. Yes. Oh man, I can't believe it. This is so huge for the account. I'm so happy we get it now and not like in 20 chunks. Let's go. So here's a list of all the chunk tasks. There's quite a few of them. 2 of them I can already immediately check off. A black mat helm and a steel kite shield. I already have mithril variants of both of them, which I have smithed myself. I bought the other items, the rune plate legs, the rune chain body, the green D-hide chaps and green vamp braces, all within the first 10 minutes. Now the largest task here is getting 58 fletching, for which I only need around 10k more experience. So I spent most of the first hour smithing bronze arrow tips and attaching them into headless arrows. I have over 100k of the ladder in the bank. I also had already quite some bronze bars, so this was just a matter of running from the bank to the anvil and then back. After getting to 58 fletching, I only needed to do 2 more small tasks. The first is getting a herb cleaned for the achievement diary, and the second is starting Spirits of the Elite. I think I actually have all the chunks needed to complete the quest, but it requires level 33 magic for telekinetic grab early on. I'm only level 7 and I don't have an easy way to train it due to lack of getting easy air runes. Once I do, I might be able to finish this quest though. Completing it might be very useful as it would unlock an altar for me, and I currently do not have a way to restore my prayer points. Anyway, those are all the tasks, which means chunk completed. Now, on to the main event, which is why this chunk was so amazing to roll. It namely unlocks Hunter. Nada has a hunter shop that sells a variety of hunter gear. For me specifically, the bird snare is what unlocks the skill. I've lamped hunter to level 5 in the past, needed to catch golden warblers. And these are located north in the desert hunter area, in a chunk I have already unlocked. Time to go there and start to actually train hunter. Experience here is very slow. I can only use a single bird snare and have a success rate of 41% at level 5. Initially my experience here was around 1500 to 2000 XP per hour. I did this until level 13, which unlocks me the next catchable creature, Desert Devils. Desert Devils are cabbits that can be tracked slightly north of the golden warblers. This is also quite slow, but at least somewhat more consistent, since the catch rate is 100% after you track the full path of the cabbits. This got me around 2500 to maybe 3000 XP per hour. I did this method until level 20 hunter. At that point I went back to the golden warblers. At level 20 you can place 2 bird snares, making the warblers a lot more efficient. The catch rate of almost 60% at level 20 is also considerably higher. With those 2 combined I managed to get around 5 to 6000 XP per hour. And this will be the best trading method for quite a while. So, what are the shorter term goals for Hunter? Well, there are a couple. First one is level 36, at which point I can catch an Earth Impling. Earth Implings have a 1 in 100 chance to drop a mithril pickaxe. This is the main reason why unlocking Hunter is so valuable. A mithril pickaxe increases experience rates at shooting stars by around 60%, greatly reducing the amount of hours it would take me to get to level 90. However, a 1 in 100 drop is not very common, and since I do not have access to Puro, I can't find Implings very quickly and reliably. Anyway, a second shorter term goal would be level 40 Hunter. At that point I will be able to use 3 bird snares, improving my Hunter XP per hour further. A third goal would be 47 Hunter, at which point I unlock catching orange salamanders. This needs rope and small fishing nets though. Ropes I have, but I currently do not have access to small fishing nets. However, there are 2 rollable chunks with a fishing net, so this might not be too far off. Orange salamanders are great XP, around 50,000 XP per hour, which would be like 6 times the XP of golden warblers at that level. A final shorter term goal would be level 50 hunter. This unlocks eclectic implings. They can drop a few minor ranged upgrades, but most notably also drop a mithril pickaxe. But they do so at a rate of 1 in 10, which is a lot better and more realistic to obtain compared to earth implings. Anyway, I spent the rest of the chunk training hunter via golden warblers. These are the stats at the end of my chunk. I managed to get to level 39 hunter, which means I have a chance to unlock a mithril pickaxe with every earth impling I come across from now on. Time for another chunk roll. After starting out with the best possible roll and unlocking nada, I really don't care what else I roll this episode anymore. That said, chunk 9 and 14 both unlock a fishing net, making them the best rolls to progress the account. The Kelphite Lair, chunk 13, has become rollable again. I probably still can't take her on, so ideally I will not roll that for a while. Anyway, let's roll. And the next chunk is... the Kelphite Lair. Wow, unbelievable. Look, I'm not going to complain after that first amazing roll, but it's insane how much this account seems to want to go to the Kelphite Queen. So these are the stats I had last time I left here, and these are the ones I have now. I gained a few combat levels, but nothing too noteworthy. I did gain a major weapon upgrade though, the Colossal Blade, which I obtained last episode. This pretty much would double my damage per second against the Kelphite Queen. And with doubling, I mean from going extremely bad to very bad. Regardless, these are the chunk tasks for this chunk. I already have a battle staff, but all the rest I still need to do. Almost all drops are from the Kelphite Queen, except for the rune Mad Helm, which is a 1 in 128 drop from Kelphite Guardians. Because I'm not sure if the Kelphite Queen is even possible, let's just start with the Guardians. Last time I was in this chunk, killing a Kelphite Guardian almost took 15 minutes, so I could only get 4 to 5 kills an hour. Now with this amazing Colossal Blade, kills are less than 5 minutes, allowing me to get roughly 15 kills per hour. This means that I might be able to get the rune Mad Helm within this chunk if it is roughly on drop rate. I did get a rune Chain Body relatively early on, but after around 3 hours in the chunk I decided that I was going to attempt the Kelphite Queen. The reason why this is so difficult for this account is that I need to kill the second phase within 20 minutes or it despawns. And with my poor stats, no prayer restore, no anti-poison and a lack of decent food, the only way to kill the queen is via flinching, which is slow. My hit rate, even with the Colossal Blade, is only around 10%. According to my own calculations, I would come up short, but just by a bit. So maybe, with a bit of luck, I might be able to take her down. Anyway, I thought it would be good to give it a fair try. And my first try took around 1 minute, because the queen and her guardians dropped me very quickly, even before I got her stuck. First death of the account and back to Lumbridge, who I do not have access to. Account ruined. After the walk of shame back to the lair, I did manage to get her in the correct position without dying the second time around. My best healing item is wine though, which reduces my attack. I expected that this was not too much of an issue since the queen's first stage has no time limit, and I assumed my attack would be up by the time of the second stage. Well, I was wrong, though it wasn't down by too much. Overall, I was quite lucky both in terms of number of hits as well as hitting relatively big numbers. I got her down to almost 40 HP, which is slightly less than 20% of her HP left. Okay, not too far off, but I already got quite lucky. I had one attack potion in the bank from a maze random, so I wanted to try it once more, giving it my all. And yeah, I died again while setting up the flinching spot. We shall not speak of it anymore. After another walk of shame back, I did manage to set up the flinching spot correctly. Thus it was time to try it once more with boosted stats from both the attack potion and the cup of tea, which also gives a minor buff. I also used the 5% attack buff prayer, which would conveniently last around 20 minutes. And yeah, I got very unlucky with my hits. there were literally 4 minutes where I did not hit anything in a row. At the end of the 20 minutes, when the queen despawned, she still had 70 HP left, which is around 25%. So after using my only attack potion, I decided to give up for now. There are a few upgrades still to be gained via Hunter, most notably an amulet upgrade and weapon poison. Hence, I do think the next time we roll this chunk, I should really be able to take her down, and I mean it now. Anyway, I went back to the Kelphite Guardians for that 1 in 128 rune med helm. And I did actually get it in the last hour, after 120 total kills, so almost on rate. Together with the rune chain body and plate legs, I pretty much have full rune defensive items, which looks pretty good together. Because all the remaining chunk tasks are related to the Kelphite Queen, I decided to finish the chunk off with Hunter. I did manage to get to level 40, allowing me to place 3 bird snares from now on. These are the stats at the end of my chunk. Not much progress since flinching is poor in terms of XP per hour, but I am happy with the gear upgrade in the rune med helm. And back to the chunk map. Not much has changed. Chunk 9 and 13 still unlock me a small fishing net. The rest are either chunks where I need to train mining, or 3 chunks where I can train Hunter in order to better train mining in the future. Let's roll. And the next chunk is the PvP arena. Okay, that's nothing anymore. I failed this chunk the last time because of a level 58 fletching grind and I could barely train it at the time. However, I just reached 58 fletching earlier this episode, meaning this chunk has no further tasks and is automatically completed. Nice. So back to Hunter it is. With the 3 bird snares that I unlocked at level 40 Hunter last chunk, I am managing to get a little over 8000 experience per hour. My goal this chunk is getting to level 50 Hunter, which should just be achievable within the 8 hours at this rate. Level 50 allows me to catch eclectic implings with a 1 in 10 mithril pickaxe drop. Alternatively, I could stop at 47 Hunter. If I roll a chunk with a fishing net spawn next, I'm kind of wasting my time with a slow hunting method. At the same time, if it takes a long time to roll such a chunk, mining shooting stars with a bronze pickaxe is also a waste of my time. By the way, if you happen to see footage with some random items in my inventory, this is simply because I catch every impling when I see them around. There's an impling spawn just north of the bird hunting spot, and implings have a chance to spawn every 30 minutes. In fact, roughly halfway through the chunk, I did already catch several earth implings and got 1 in 100 drops from them twice, just not the mithril pickaxe. I also got 2 consecutive strange plant randoms in a row. My random events luck has been pretty poor. I haven't had a single lamp since the agility pyramid chunk. And I do really need those to level up my agility to 20 before rolling that chunk again. Anyway, I pretty much spent hunting golden warblers for almost 7 hours, at which point I hit level 50. My XP per hour near the end was over 9000. Time to start hunting those eclectic implings with a 1 in 10 mithril pickaxe drop. As said before, there is an impling spawn right above the warbler hunting spot. Most impling spawns have a chance to spawn an impling every 30 minutes. The exact chance differs and I'm not sure what the average is though. Implings of a high, mid and low tier can spawn there. The eclectic impling is both on the table of the mid spawn with a 37 out of 100 rate and the low spawn with a 10 in 100 rate. So pretty decent odds. My strategy was just to hop worlds and catch implings whenever I saw them. The problem is that the desert is very empty, implings can wander quite far from their spawn and the NPC pop-up range is pretty short, maybe 10 to 15 tiles. So, I only saw an impling spawn like every 20 world hops or so. After a little while, I decided to switch it up and go to the impling spawn in Alcarid. This spot is different from most since it can only spawn low tier implings, but there's a 100% chance that one spawns here. In addition, there are more buildings in Alcarid and implings can get stuck in them, most notably in the Alcarid Bank. Hence, I can get implings a lot more frequent here, though there are probably less eclectic ones. Anyway, after roughly half an hour of hunting, I got lucky and got my mithril pickaxe. From only the 6th eclectic impling, so under drop rate as well. After more than 10 days of playtime on the account, I finally got an upgrade from the bronze pickaxe. For most mining methods with tick manipulation, this does not matter too much, but from shooting stars this is a huge upgrade. With a bronze pickaxe at my current level, shooting stars are around 10,000 experience per hour, whereas with the mithril pickaxe this is like 16,000 experience per hour, so a 60% increase. I spent the remaining time of the chunk testing the mithril pickaxe at shooting stars. With a bronze pickaxe, the remaining time to get to level 90 mining with shooting stars would be 390 hours. With the mithril pickaxe, getting to 90 mining with shooting stars would be less than 250 hours. Still a lot, but definitely a huge time save. Here are the stats at the end of my chunk. Made good hunting progress. I will stop at 50 for now until I am able to get that small fishing net. Once I have that, I can train it some more to get the higher impling upgrades. I'm back to the chunk map for one last roll this episode. Chunk 11 and 15 give me the fishing net I need to further progress Hunter. The rest are empty chunks or mining chunks, with chunk 5 being the only mining chunk that does not provide a good training method. Let's roll. And the final chunk is... Oozer Oasis. Of course, the only chunk I did not really want. Anyway, these are the tasks of this chunk. I initially just started mining a shooting star since I thought there were no new chunk tasks. However, because I unlocked an anvil and nada earlier this episode and thus officially have access to an axe, new tasks have come up with this chunk. I have already melted gold bars and I also have the woodcutting and fire making levels to chop and burn mahogany logs. The main challenge is getting 61 fletching for mahogany stock. I'm currently level 58. It initially does not seem too far off, but this is almost 80,000 experience. And with my current methods only yielding maybe 10,000 experience per hour, this is pretty much going to take me the entire chunk. My main preferred way of training fletching is currently making bronze arrow tips and making bronze arrows. I still have over 100,000 feathered arrow shafts in the bank, and the bronze arrows might be useful for range training in the future. In order to get to level 61, I unironically need to craft a little bit over 61,000 bronze arrows. I had a bit over 1,000 bronze bars in the bank, but I needed slightly more than 4,000 for the arrow tips. Thus I also needed to spend some time on buying bronze bars from Shantae. This alone already took me around an hour. After that I continued running and or walking from the bank to the anvil in Nada in order to smith bronze bars into arrow tips. And of course I fletched bronze arrows during the running and or walking time. This gave me a bit over 12,000 fletching experience and a bit over 8,000 smithing experience. Not that the latter matters too much. After around 7 hours in the chunk I was finally done and could complete all chunk tasks except for the level 90 mining one. So I went to do all of those tasks. One other thing I wanted to do in this chunk was collect some tea, which is a spawn in one of the houses. Tea gives a temporary 3 attack boost, and given that the Kelphite Queen was such a close call last time, this might come in handy in the future. I collected around 100 tea, which is hopefully enough for a few kills the next time I roll the Kelphite lair. I spent the remaining time mining gold ores. Given that I have Nada unlocked now, I decided to bang the ores. This means I have to take a 25% experience cut. Instead of around 17,000 XP per hour, I get around 13 to 14,000 XP per hour. However, because I don't really have a good crafting method available, I expect that this might be worthwhile in the future. Anyway, these are the stats at the end of my chunk. Got a couple of fleshing levels along with a smithing level. Overall, in this episode, with rolling Nada, we made great progress by unlocking Hunter, which will probably give me plenty of more upgrades in the future. Time's up. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to stay updated on my progress, like and subscribe. If you have any questions or tips, leave them in the comments below. Have a nice day and see you next time.